What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Marshall Time. What's going on, bro?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to this basketball thing, college and pros. We'll get to both levels, but before we start, I just at the time we're recording this show, history might be made, and we'll see later. We'll see after tonight what happens. But Detroit, the Pistons. I wasn't aware of how. I know they've been trash. I didn't realize how trash they've been. So they've lost 15 games straight and could become the first team in 8 years. They could be the first team in 8 years to go without a win in a month. I know we talked about them the last show, but I think just watching them this year, I tapped into some of that Detroit New York game. That's the game that I'm talking about right now. Right now, they're tied at the half, 54-54. So we'll see what happens with that one. But just watching some of that game, you can say they don't have the talent, the fit isn't right, but it shouldn't be that bad. Like just watching this team, there seems to be no direction. My biggest beef is Killian Hayes somehow keeps finding a way to get in that starting lineup and get minutes. I saw Kevin Knox playing. I didn't realize he was still in the league. That's how you know your team's bad when Kevin Knox is actually getting minutes. And so to me, that's criminal. You got Marcus Sasser, Jay and Ivy. I just hate incompetence when it comes to a basketball roster and coaching. And Detroit is like, yeah, it's bad. At least with the Spurs, I can understand why they're struggling, but there's a reason to watch, right? Like I can watch a Vic, I can watch a Keldon Johnson and Devin play. With Detroit, what am I watching? What am I seeing? There's no direction. There's nothing, and I don't think they even know what they're doing. And so, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna watch a single Detroit game the rest of the way until they give me a reason to. There's no reason to. I know what to expect at this point. Kevin Knox is playing major minutes, as is Killian Hayes. I just can't do it. I got to respect my time as a basketball viewer, right? I just can't do it. Sorry. No,
Yeah,
I just can't make excuses for Monty Williams in Detroit anymore. I just can't. It's just bad. It's
I
bad.
mean, like I said, I told you about it last show. I talked about it last show, man. It's just I don't know what they're doing over there. Like the spacing is terrible. It's not enough shooting on the team. There's not enough defense on the team. It's just a whole bunch of young guys running up and down, man. And I don't know, like Monty Williams. We can say what we want, but at the end of the day, like them guys they're just not it. Like they got a whole bunch of I feel like they got a whole bunch of like young rejects like James Wiseman. I mean, it's still time, but Marvin Bagley, like them type of guys. I talked about it last show, man.
Mhm.
It's bad over there. I want Cade out of there because Cade's a good player. I really like think he could be a good number one option, but we're not seeing him with the opportunity like some of these other young guards, like a Halliburton, like a LaMelo Ball. You know what I mean? Young guards that are they're on teams that aren't going to be the greatest, but you can tell there's talent on the teams and they're playing to their play style. The Pistons aren't playing to Cade's play style. He's a playmaker first. Like, yeah, he's 6'6". Yeah, he can score, he can shoot, but he's a playmaker first. And they don't have any people for him to playmate with. You know what I mean? Who's he passing the ball to? Like you just said, Kevin Knox is out there. You got Killian Hayes. Jaden Ivey and Killian Hayes, they should not be sharing the court together. Like that's a terrible lineup. I love Asari Thompson's game, but like he has to get a jump shot. Let's be real. Like they're putting him in a dunker spot. He's a shooting guard for real. So I don't know.
There's something to be said about a young team struggling, but on the flip side, I want to see development, right? What are we seeing when it comes to development of these guys and putting these part of coaching is putting players in the right position. So you have what you have. Okay, how do we make this? These are the ingredients I have. How do I make the most out of it? And Monty Williams and that coaching staff isn't getting it done. I don't know what. Look, he's getting paid a lot of money. You know how much he got paid, right?
How much did he get paid?
Almost 80 million, the
Whew.
biggest contract in the
Oh
history,
my
right? I
god.
mean, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up
I
because
think it was. Matter of fact, I saw that the other day. Now that I think about it,
I don't blame him for taking that contract. I would take it too. 78.5 million. It can reach 100. That could reach 8 years, 100 million with incentives. Biggest coaching contract in league history. And this
crazy.
is what you're putting out on the floor.
I seen
Like
a
you may not
quote.
have the talent, but also is there development going on? I don't know. I don't even know if they're even like what is being taught and coached in that practice because watching them play, there's no semblance of competent basketball going on. There's no development. There's no habits of winning going on. Like it's a bad product to watch. It really is. It really is.
I seen
And
it. I seen
so,
a quote the other day from him, and he was like, he likes the way the team is like fighting because he said, I guess he was saying in practice they had like 6 guys dive on a loose ball or something. And he was like, it's hard to find that, in a team that's lost this many games in a row. And I'm like, bro, y'all got bigger problems to worry about than, hustle. Like, yes, we love hustle. We know it's important, but y'all need some talent before anything. So I don't know what's going on.
and you're playing the wrong talent.
Right.
There's no way Kevin Knox and Killian Hayes should be getting the minutes they're getting, right? Let's give Marcus Sasser and Jay and Ivy minutes. Let's give them the opportunity to make mistakes and play through the mistakes. Like I don't get this constant switching up of Killian Hayes and Jay and Ivy out of the starting lineup. I don't understand it. But he's getting paid almost $80 million to coaches, so maybe he knows something we don't, right? All right, so we're at this point now, November, December. We're starting to see some of these teams jockeying for position. We're trying to figure out who's the contenders in the Eastern and Western Conference. I think the Eastern Conference, we kind of know what's going on with that. The West, though, a lot to be talked about when it comes to 1 through 6, 1 through 8, even maybe even 9, depending on how things go in certain situations. So a lot of talk when it comes to trades that possibly may be made. The biggest conversation is with Chicago and those 3 guys. When we talk about Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan, the Lakers are in that conversation as usual. LeBron James, the GM that he is, some changes are going to be made there. So it wouldn't surprise me if something happens with that. But outside of that, we'll talk about the Bulls, obviously, in the Lakers situation. But when it comes to teams that need to make trades for whatever reason, I wrote down 2 different reasons. Teams that feel like they can contend for a championship and should make a trade, and teams that are in no man's land should make a trade. So what are some teams that you're looking at and saying, look, they got to make a move, whether it's for winning purposes or just trying to blow it up purposes and figure out where we go moving forward?
Well, for winning purposes, definitely the Sixers. We got off to a good start. When we're healthy, we've had some impressive wins and we have a good record. But we need in the playoffs, I feel like we're going to need a bigger 2 guard. I love the way D'Anthony Melton's been playing. He's been playing great. He's been shooting the ball good. He's playing good defense. But I think when we get into the Eastern Conference, we're talking about going against wings like Tatum, Jaylen Brown, going against Giannis. We need bigger guys at multiple, through 2 through 4 to guard these type of players, man. So I would love the Sixers to try to go get OG Anunoby. I've been hearing rumors about LaVine. It's not a bad pickup, but I want more of a 3-and-D player for the Sixers. So there's definitely one team that I think needs to, make a move to contend. As far as time to blow it up in the East,
this is one team that we talk about all the time.
In the East, if I'm gonna be real with you, I think the Hawks need to make some moves. I think it's time for them to blow it up. The Wizards too, and it's going to sound crazy because it's like they're already in rebuild mode, but it's time to it's just messy over there. They need to go trade Jordan Poole somewhere. I already seen that he was on the trading block already, and it's crazy. But they should try to move him for something. But I don't know what his value is going to be right now because teams see how he's really playing right now. So I don't know. But yeah, those are my 2 teams from the East.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Obviously, the Sixers should, and the reasons that you said I agree with. I think the Celtics may try to. I think they should, as far as front court help. Outside of Porzingis and Al Horford, I don't think Luke Cornett is going to be playable in the playoffs, and he can be exploited and exposed quickly if you get an injury to a Horford or Porzingis. So front court help for them, and we'll see with Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard. They can get more consistency off the bench from them. As far as teams that just should be sellers at the deadline, Chicago, obviously, that's a team that we've talked about. What are you doing? DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Nikolai Vucevic, Alex Caruso, all 4 of those guys. If I'm a front office person in Chicago, my goal is to have all 4 of those guys out of there. That's just what time I'm on. What purpose is it to keep any one of those guys at this point if it's Chicago? I think Toronto should take a close look at things with Pascal Siakam and OG, as you mentioned. What direction do you want to go with Pascal Siakam as your best player? Your ceiling is what it is. There's no Eastern Conference Finals run. You know, I like the pieces that Toronto has in total, but there's certain guys, if they're a number one option, there's a limit to what your franchise is going to be. And I think that's where Toronto's at right now. I also think, though, there's some teams that teams should target. Like, I look at Utah Jazz, their roster. I'm not sure if they would even think about this, but Lauri Markkanen would look crazy in a lot of these situations. Like, he's a guy that you put in any spot and he's going to find a way to excel. And so Lauri Markkanen can bring Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton. I mean, to me, I'm calling up Utah. I'm calling up the Blazers for Malcolm Brogdon. I'm calling up Brooklyn for Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith. I'm not sure if they're going to give up Mikal Bridges, but I would even just try and, I mean, I know they turned down about like 3 first-round picks, right, from Memphis. Listen, how do we sweeten up the offer to get a Mikal Bridges? But I think those are some teams that I think contending teams should be calling and inquiring, like, what would it take to get a Jordan Clarkson to come off my bench? You know, if I'm a Western Conference contending team, right? Like, that could change some things in the West, right? If you get a Clarkson off the bench for you. And so, to me, that's the interesting thing when it comes to the trade deadline. And obviously, when it comes to the Western Conference, you look at the Lakers, they're going to make a move. What's happening right now is not going to work. I think they need a reliable third scoring option to plug in with LeBron and AD. And obviously, LaVine or DeMar DeRozan are going to be the options. But I think the Lakers should make a move. And maybe even the Warriors. Look, I'm not sure what that deal looks like, but the Warriors are a team that could stand to make a change. I don't think they're going to get rid of Draymond right now, but I would dangle Draymond. Why not? They're not going to dangle Clay out right now, but why not? Like, there's just some teams that need to shake things up. I don't think they would, but look, Steph is still playing at a high level, and you don't want to waste another year with what they have right now. So that's my take on the Western Conference.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, the only thing I think we need to add the Clippers in there too, man. It's time. It's time. I know Harden just got there, but they're losing the teams that they shouldn't be losing to. I'm not liking it. I know they beat the Kings last night, but that was off a back-to-back. Before that, they lost to the Nuggets, and I don't think Jokic played. I don't think Jamal Murray was back either. They let DeAndre Jordan drop 21 and 11. What is this, 2012? Am I back in high school?
Reggie Jackson went off too.
Yeah, Reggie Jackson get him 35. Like, what is going on? So, and I know, I believe Kawhi and PG might have player options, or it might be free agents, period, this summer. So, I think it's time, man. Like, and I know before the season started, we were saying, we got hopes for the Clippers. Like they were taking things serious, but the minute they made their Harden trade, that just, like, I don't think that wasn't a good move. I wasn't a fan of that move from the beginning, like, because I know what Harden does. I seen it firsthand. You know what I mean? So I think the Clippers, we might got to add them to the list, man. I would love for Kawhi to come to Philly. Bring him back with Nick Nurse. You know what I mean? Let's get it going. Let's get it popping. But at this point, I don't know. I think they need to make some moves too.
I would love it. But it's like for the Clippers, I mean, they went all in by getting James Harden. You're saying to the fans and to everybody, like, this is it. Like, right. This is what we're going with, right? And so you're kind of stuck. Yeah. And I think the Clippers are delaying the inevitable, honestly. To me, it's like sort of like what the Bulls are now. Like, the Clippers, we know with James Harden on your roster, you know what that comes with, right? We know all the question marks with Kawhi and PG and their health. We know of James Harden, what he turns into in the clutch moments when you need him the most. Like, we have repeated examples of this. And so if you're the Clippers, you're not beating a Denver Nuggets squad in a 7-game series. I don't think you're beating even the Kings in a set. I don't know about that, Are you beating the Lakers? I mean, the Pelicans, I think, are a team that, if they get those guys healthy, that's a team that I would put over the Clippers right now. You're not beating a healthy Phoenix squad in a 7-game series, right? And so Minnesota's up there. OKC is up there. And so there's a lot of teams that I got to put ahead of the Clippers right now, just because of, number one, there's a consistent effort that I see from certain teams that are in top of the Western Conference right now. I can rely on them for consistency, for their health. Yeah, and they don't have James Harden. That's just what it comes down to, right? And so the Clippers, to me, are delaying the inevitable. Yes, they should make a move, but it's like, at this point, you know, they have to rock out. They put themselves in a tough position. Like they really got to rock out with what they have. Um, so yeah, but when it comes to the Lakers, and you can almost honestly call these things at the top of the year. Like come trade deadline, the Lakers going to make a move. Like
Mhm.
LeBron's not going to like what he's seeing. They're going to underachieve, and voila, here we go again. Like they made those moves last year, and they're going to do it again this year. You know what I mean? Is it going to be enough? I don't know because once again, is AD going to be reliable? That's the biggest question. To me, this is what it all comes down to.
Well, it's the same story.
Is AD going to be there physically and mentally on a nightly basis when you need him the most? He's putting up numbers. He is. But time and time again, there's a consistency that he hasn't been showing. It's just not there. You know what I mean? So that's just my philosophy on the Lakers. I don't care who they bring in. DeMar, Levine. Are you going to beat Denver? No, you're not, because they have the Joker and they don't have an answer to that. They don't have an answer to Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. You know what I mean? Like they just don't. Um, so the Lakers are going to make a move like they always do, but I think they're going to come up just short. That's just, that's how I see it with the Lakers situation. Let's switch gears to the college game now. We had the big Thanksgiving week. That's a huge time. You got all the tournaments. Get to see a lot of the biggest names, the best teams. So we're going to talk about the teams that have caught our eyes, some of the players too. So, for me, really at this point of the year, it's really hard for me to narrow down a team. I remember last year, thinking about just our picks for the Final Four. UConn was a team that I had in the Final Four. Didn't have them going to the championship game, but that was a team I watched in January in the middle of Big East play, and I said, "Yo, it was a random game. Might have been a Tuesday or Wednesday." I said, "This is a Final Four team." And lo and behold, they did it. And so I think once conference play comes around, I think you can get a better idea of who's who. But I wrote down a few teams that I like that I think are going to have a chance to make a Final Four run just based off just first round talent, experience, and teams just have that look. They pass the eye test, right? And so I like Arizona. I like UConn again. I like Baylor. I like Marquette. I think Kentucky can be fun. Kentucky's a fun team that I got my eye on to see how they develop. I like Rob Dillingham, DJ Wagner, Reed Shepard, Justin Edwards. They got a couple experienced guys, Antonio Reeves. So I like Coach Cal and what they got going on right now. I think as the year goes on, as we see with Kentucky every year, they always get better. And so, yeah, those are my five right now: Zona, UConn, Baylor, Kentucky, and Marquette.
Yeah, right now, I like all those teams, but I'm gonna add a team in there, man. Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, I think this might be their year. Like they look legit, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
watching them play, they rebound on the offense and defensive side. Excellent. That's huge in basketball and college basketball, especially those extra possessions. They got Jamal Shedd, he's been there for years. And they also have LJ Cryer, transfer from Baylor, who was a
Mm-hmm.
bucket. I like the way they play, man. They play big, they're athletic, they can shoot, they play together, and they have the leadership, the veteran experience on the team. I'm really high on Houston. I do like Kentucky too. Like I feel like this is one of the more exciting Kentucky teams of recent years. Like we know Kentucky always has those guys, but it's been
Mm-hmm.
a minute since they've had like 4 to 5 players that are like all first round talent. You know what I mean? How it used to be when they had the teams with Cat and they had Devin
Mm-hmm.
Booker coming off the bench. Like you know what I mean? Teams like that. They're right back in that mix, man. You talked about it. Rob Dillingham's coming off the bench, giving out buckets, playmaking. You got Wagner, of course, Reed Shepard, all of those guys. Um, Purdue is an interesting team, but I just can't buy into them come tournament time. Like, but if it's a year they're going to do it, it would have to be this year. But I just can't buy into Purdue basketball winning. I know they got the big guy Zach Edey, but history shows is usually when it's like one big player like that, it doesn't always, you know what I mean. It doesn't pan out. College ball is it's like that. You need a full team, everybody contributing, chipping in. I mean, they do look good, but it's still early. So
They
I'm
look good,
not sold.
but you know how the tournament goes. It's a matchup thing.
Yep.
The teams that I usually tend to lean toward that I think have the biggest success, they have their rosters built and their playing styles built in such a way that they can adjust through different situations, right? Like I think Purdue can be limited in some ways. That's what we saw in their upset last year, right? I think if you get a team that's hitting from the three, they just get hot, some athletes in the perimeter, Purdue can be had. They can. You know what I mean? And so they're a great team. Obviously, it's hard. Only one team wins the championship, right? But there's just certain teams I just can't buy into when it comes to making a deep run. And Purdue, when it comes to making your bracket and trusting the team to make that run, I don't see it with Purdue. The teams that I feel like have those chances, teams that have strong guard play, have the athleticism, have multiple first round talent, right? Like, who's the first round talent on Purdue? Zach Edey wasn't even a first round grade this past year. He came back for a reason. Like, is he a first round pick this year? I don't know what team is picking him in the first round. As far as his game is concerned, like maybe 15 years ago, yeah, right? No. So I just think they can be had, and so we'll see if they can get it done this year. I mean, I think, yeah, Sweet 16, Elite Eight, yeah, of course, but I don't trust it, man. I don't trust it. There's so much that can go wrong in a tournament set situation, and all it takes is the right team to go up against Purdue and exploit what they have, and I can see it going bad again. I can see it. I do. But yeah, Houston. I might have picked Houston to make the championship last year. I wanted it to be their year so bad because Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston, man. And so that's the team I've been wanting to check out more. I'm going to pay attention to them more for sure as the season goes on. But that's the team I'll definitely keep my eye on as well. But UConn can do it again too. Stephen Castle's been out. He's a first round lottery pick projection right now. He's been out, but they're still playing well. And so when they get him back, I want to see what it looks like. But Baylor too, man, they just always seem to have these guards every year. They got some guards again. Jacoby Walter, he's a projected top pick, for Baylor this year. And so it's going to be fun to see once again a wide open year in college ball. So we'll never know who's going to be the dominant team this year. Who knows? But I'm excited to see who comes out on top again. Now the players, I got an interesting twist on it right now, right? Because we know the big names. Honestly, the big names nowadays are either overseas or playing G League Ignite, right? It's rare that all five guys, the top guys drafted, are playing college ball now. That's just the way it is right now. But thanks to social media, we're able to get hip to some of the guys who are excelling under the mid-major spotlight, right? And so Malik Mack, the Harvard freshman guard, Keyshawn Hall, George Mason, they call him the big guard, and Robbie Avila, Indiana State. I'm not saying he's going to be an NBA guy, who knows, but just the way he plays, it's a fun watch. These are guys that I would love to see come tournament time, just to see how they do against, top tier talent, and just to see them on a bigger stage. I think it'll be fun. But Keyshawn Hall was 285 as a freshman last year at UNLV. He's at George Mason this year as a sophomore, 6'7", 230, a double-double machine. Malik Mack was the Gatorade Player of the Year in DC. He's at Harvard balling out. And so to me, it just shows you how there's talent everywhere nowadays. You just never know where that talent is going to come up from. And I think for me, I look at a guy like Malik Mack, he's getting an opportunity, and instead of sitting on a top college program or splitting minutes, he has free reign at Harvard, as far as I'm concerned, to just ball out and showcase your skills and grow. And so I think he's in a great spot at Harvard, a great school, obviously. And so you talk about possibly transferring for him this next year, or is he an NBA draft pick? We'll see. But I think he's in a great position at Harvard, Malik Mack. So that's a name to watch for sure.
Yeah. I love those names too. Two guys I want to give a big shout out to that we talked about in the past, but they've moved on to bigger schools. Max Abmas used to be at Oral Roberts. We know he made, crazy tournament runs. He's at Texas now. He's balling at Texas. He had a game winner for them against somebody last week, but he's doing his thing there. He's averaging like 15. Then Grant Nelson, man, 6'10". I know people seeing his viral clips. He played at North Dakota State. Now he's at Alabama. That's another team that's pretty good too. Alabama is a pretty good team. He's not doing this thing, man. It's just always good to see those guys coming from smaller schools, and they made a name for themselves. And now they're at the bigger schools, Texas and Bama. That's a big jump from Oral Roberts and North Dakota State. So just a shout out to them guys. But I definitely love Malik Mack too. I love his game, man. He's playing great. And, him being at Harvard and being a baller like that, he looked like he belonged in Kentucky the way he plays, but he's at Harvard, right? So that's what's up. I'm just happy to see all of that.
Y'all gotta watch Robbie Avila, Indiana State sophomore. He's probably the most interesting player I've seen this year so far. 6'10", 240. So he has the basketball size, right? But you look at his frame, it don't look like a basketball frame, right? If I could explain, it's like a mid-major Joker, just the way he plays. Like you see him, like how is he like? But the passing, the craftiness around the basket, he's skilled. And I looked up his bio on the Indiana State website. He was the highest rated, one of the highest rated commits ever for Indiana State, where Larry Bird went. So, I mean, he was a big time recruit for Indiana State. So it's not a shock that he's doing what he's doing. But you watch him, it's like, yo, man. But it's crazy seeing the Joker and Alfred Sengun for Houston, right? I see a guy like that now. I kind of wonder, is there a spot for him in the league now? And so, to me, that's when I see a player like Robbie Avila, maybe a few years ago, I see him like, there's no chance. But now, you're kind of wondering, is there a spot for a player like that in today's NBA? And so I'm interested to see what he does this year and throughout his college career. Maybe, who knows? We'll see. But I think nowadays, this another show, maybe another conversation. I feel like the skill level is so great right now that you don't have to be the athlete anymore, right? Like you can get away with maybe average athleticism, but if the handle's there, if the vision's there, there's a spot for you. And I think that's what we're seeing with the Joker and Sengun in Houston. And so Robbie Avila is one of those guys at the college level I'm looking at like, okay, if he spends a couple more years at the college level, works on his body, what does that look like for him at the next level? And so Robbie Avila, Indiana State sophomore, check him out. He's definitely going to be interesting to see for you if you haven't watched him before. But yeah, that's when I see him. Even a Keyshawn Hall, 6'7", 230. Keyshawn, big guard is his nickname, Hall. Even him as a George Mason sophomore, what he's doing, his creativity, his scoring ability, not the most athletic. I mean, he was 285 last year. So, but just to see his growth over the last year and what that could be in a year or two, I'm excited to see what some of these guys do at the mid-major level. We already know about the top guys, Isaiah Collier at USC. Like we know these guys, right? But I think the guys that we talked about may not get enough attention, maybe overlooked a little bit, or on a bigger stage now, like Max Abmas and Grant Nelson. I'm excited to see what these guys do. I would love to see them in March come tourney time. Like that, to me, that's the big stage for those guys to get their stock up. And so I'm excited about just overall the skill level that we're seeing across the board in college basketball, because everybody can't go to a Kentucky, right? Everybody can't go to a Carolina, a Kansas, a Syracuse, a Duke. There's just so much talent out there now. Like everybody's playing basketball year round now. Like, you know what I mean? Like now more than ever, upsets have always happened, right? But I think now so more than ever in today's era, where everybody's so specialized with basketball, everybody's playing AAU ball. You're just playing year round now. You're going to see more of the Malik Max because DC is a basketball, area, the DMV area, right? And so for him to be the Gatorade Player of the Year, he goes to Harvard. He's ball. I mean, it just shows you, like, man, the skill level. And you coach too. Just talk about that. Just how the skill level in today's game now across the level. We're going to see more of these type players who may not be at the high major programs, but they gotta play somewhere.
Right. And I'm happy that it's going that way, man, because for the longest, like, even like when you watch college ball, like for me, I kind of didn't like watch college basketball sometimes because when I was looking at it, I'm like, bro, I'm watching a whole bunch of just athletic players, but they're not that skilled. Like the shooting percentage is terrible, turning the ball over, terrible IQ. You know what I mean? And it's just like, bro, I could tell you were here because you were really athletic in high school and you were able to dominate. But now you're playing against guys with the same athleticism as you. It's not panning out how it could be. But now you talk about guys like Robbie Avila and these other guys that have a lot of skill. Like that's just the way the game should be played. And I'm happy it's going that way. And it's going to make the NBA better too, man, because how many times did we see guys going to the NBA be projected top 10 because of their athleticism, because of their potential. But like, come on, like growing up, man, I saw Michael Kidd Gilchrist going top 5, and I feel like I got a better jump shot than him. What are we doing? You know what I mean? So it's just like stuff like that, man. I'm just happy that the game is going that way. I hope Robbie Avila does get a shot in the NBA. I think he should. You know, he has the skill, he has the size, and Indiana State is a good team right now. So I don't see why not.
One thing about it takes a team that has the patience to develop, right? And also a team that has the vision and understanding of like everybody has something about them that is unique and special. How do we develop that? How do we utilize it to its fullest potential, right? One of my favorite teams is the Thunder, right? Like I talk about them all the time. I love their squad because all those guys are skilled. From SGA to Jalen Williams, Isaiah Joe's skilled. He's not just a spot up shooter. Chet
Right.
Holmgren, like, and that's why they're so effective because you can't exploit one guy and say we're going to take away his handle, we're going to take away the jumper, because what you're going to do with Chet? He can handle, he can shoot it. You know, all these guys can, at any given moment, grab the board and go. You know what I mean? And so they're not, OKC isn't winning because of their athleticism. They're winning because of their skill. You know what I mean? And so the best player in the league, arguably, isn't one of the more least athletic guys we've seen, right? But he dominates with his skill. You know what I mean? And so I love it. Like it's fun to see. And so we'll see how those guys develop throughout this year and throughout their college careers. And we just getting started with college hoops. Also, the play-in tournament, the quarterfinal set. Have you got a chance to look at the bracket yet?
I didn't look at the bracket, but I seen a couple of the teams that made it.
I'm excited. You know, to me, I wasn't sure about the plan because I didn't know I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it. But I think as far as just the team of City Edition uniforms with the courts, like it's raised the conversation. And I think it's fun. I think the competition level has raised up with some of these games. Some teams do want that spotlight. I think it helps out the smaller market teams. I'm excited to see a Sacramento and New Orleans in the quarterfinals rounds, right? And so, and we love seeing brackets when it comes to basketball anyway. Like the bracket is just a cool thing. We love it with Mark. I think the Final Four is in Vegas. I think dope. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see. You could get a possible Celtics Bucks matchup in the Final Four, or you know, a Kings Phoenix Suns matchup. You know, it could be cool. And so I think it's here to stay for at least another year for sure. I think it has been a success. So I'm excited. I'm excited. So we'll see how that goes. A lot to talk about over the next month for sure. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on social medias, Twitter, IG, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all the streaming platforms. We got you. Thanks for watching.
All right, peace out.